Hello, everyone. You're listening to Game Rivals, a podcast where a Nintendo fan and a PlayStation fan talk about the latest games and happenings in the gaming community and industry. I'm one of your hosts, Maximilian X, and together with SeanTemplar, we bring you this bi weekly podcast about video games.
Alrighty, welcome back everybody to a new episode of Game Rivals. I'm one of your hosts, Sean Templar, and I'm here with my other co-host.
Maximilian X, hey, how's it going, SeanTemplar?
I'm great. How are you?
I am dying. Not literally. It's just like if anybody's paid attention to like the news forecast for the Netherlands lately, it's been unseasonably hot to the point where yeah, I'm just a melting man. So yeah, that's what I've been doing these past couple of days, melting away and just barely being able to even lift a finger or go to work or even sleep since it's so hot that you can't even sleep. It's just crazy. Uh, what about you, man? Are you surviving the heat?
Barely. It's so hot that yesterday I was just sitting at home. Everything's open, all the windows, and I'm just sweating where I'm sitting. And ah, you know,
You sticky too?
yeah, drinking a lot of water, just to stay hydrated because it's important
Hmm.
in this weather to stay hydrated.
I bought a lot of ice.
Oh man,
Like a lot of ice. Like anything that I'm drinking, I'm just pouring ice in it.
there are so many water bottles scattered all over the place. Somebody would think I'm some kind of addict, but it's just water bottles. uh,
uh, yeah. Now of course have this sweet water bottle that keeps everything cool when you put in it. So at the end of the evening, when I try to go to sleep, I actually put some ice in there and some water. And then the next morning, when I'm all hot and sweaty and bothered, I just open it, and that is still icy cold, and the ice is still in it.
oh, that's
It's
nice.
amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I should use the flask more.
Yeah, yeah, man. The flask is awesome.
But it also works really
Um,
well with heat.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Keeps your hotness hot. Oh, I don't know what that. I don't know what
that
I
really
was.
just
Oh,
sounds weird.
it's.
Just
I'm sorry. It's the heat, man. I blame him. I blame the heat. Blame the heat.
in other
So
news, let's move on to the
let's move on
news.
to the news. All right. Cool. You had some grievances that you actually brought up to me like just today that I wasn't even aware of. So I'll just let you take care of that, and I'll jump in whenever.
There are two articles I want to discuss, and one I'll
Yeah.
discuss right now, and one I'll discuss till the end because it might take a bit more time because it's a growing issue, or both are actually growing issues.
Hmm.
But the other day I saw an article around a YouTube or Twitch streamer who was playing a game and she threw her cat over her shoulder and she sparked a huge online, I wouldn't say controversy, but a lot of hate. The girl's name is Alanity, if I
Yeah.
pronounce it correct.
Yeah. Natalia Alaniti Mogol. Good grief. That's a
Mogolon
tough
or
last
something
name.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
and
tough last name.
she's had issues in the past before. I didn't know about those. You told me that she did some other crazy stuff.
Oh no, that was more. That was the like after the whole throwing
Oh,
the cat over.
oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. This is
Okay,
recent, like last week.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And the issue that's arising is that people that were watching her stream have been kind of commenting on that what she did is unacceptable. It's in a way in conflict with Twitch's um, policies or streaming policies, to put it that way. But
Yeah.
also, she's in a way getting how to put this delicately. She's getting
She's getting
offensive.
away with it.
No, yeah, she's getting. She's. Someone would say she's getting away with it, but there's also a controversy that she's getting inappropriate messages or inappropriate comments from people that refer to her in a sexual way. So Twitch hasn't really taken a stance in this matter yet because on the one hand, it's her violating one of their policies, which is in a way her bringing harm to an animal on streams, And in the other way, she's telling Twitch, "Hey, I'm being I wouldn't say harassed, but I'm getting inappropriate comments thrown at me, and that could be seen as sexual harassment." So there's the other side of the conversation, and Twitch doesn't really, at least visibly, doesn't know what to do with it. And it's one of those growing issues within the Twitch community that Twitch is kind of measuring in two different sizes, if we translate the Dutch saying to English. So yeah,
Oh,
it's
please, please, please don't do that ever
yeah,
again.
yeah. That's
That's a big pet peeve of mine.
it sounds really bad. Anyways, they're not holding them up to the same standards. Let me put it that
Mm,
way. So, for
yeah.
example, Doctor Disrespect, a big known streamer on Twitch, was banned at E3, for example, because he was streaming out of a toilet, out of a bathroom, and he only
Yeah,
got a
which is illegal in the state of California.
yeah,
So he got a ban, but it only lasted for 14 days, and for something like that, according to the terms of service from Twitch, he should have gotten 30,
yeah. So it was
and he
only
only
like a
got
slap
like
on
what
the wrist.
14 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. He got a
Yeah.
slap on the wrist, and he didn't actually lose any views or viewers, so his viewer count slowly climbed again. It's climbing more, I believe. And I don't think he actually did something like an apology video or something. Not that I could see.
Oh no, he was just like, "I'm coming back, yo," and then he was back, and
Yeah, yeah,
as far as I could tell, he never did something like that. So I
yeah.
might be wrong. Who knows? I might be wrong. I don't follow the guy.
Let me same here.
Um,
But at
but
least what's
yeah.
happening is that so the guy gets a slap on the wrist, 2 weeks out, and then he's back and he just continues on with what he did. Whereas, for example, this streamer girl, I'm just gonna call her streamer girl, it's easier. She also, for example, had an instance with PewDiePie in the past, last year, I believe, that they got into an argument, and that it ended with her filing a copyright strike against PewDiePie, I believe, and YouTube takes copyright strikes really serious
Hmm.
because with YouTube, it's three copyright strikes and you're out, your channel gets banned and it's over. So there's also a way of abuse of power here, maybe. But the main thing
Well,
to take away from is that it's just not everybody's held up to the same standards, and there's this
well,
sort of stuff is happening more and more.
true, but he also called her a thought, which is also kind of disrespect. Like, whatever kind of beef you have with a person, you don't just call them something like that. I mean, you know what a thought is, right?
Yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah. So it's so
Let me put it
I
this
get.
way.
I don't know why he called her that, but I do get why why the reaction was copyright strike, which she should not have done, by the way. I don't condone the fact that she did that, but I can get why she would be upset enough to do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, um in these situations, emotions play a part as well. You know, it's heat of the moment. People say things. It's just not fair if the system is abused. We saw this with The Verge as well last year. They made a video
Mm.
around building a PC, which was not the right way to build a PC, unfortunately.
Just the thought of it just keeps
Yeah, they
making me
just said
giggle.
the strangest things. And I look on The Verge every day because I kind of like their way of writing. I sometimes don't like their way of reporting because I know that, for example, with some brands or with some phone reviews, they're really biased compared to
Mm.
other phone reviews or products. They're like looking for negative things.
Yeah.
But in general, I kind of like they sometimes do these really in-depth items around, for example, Facebook and the moderation behind it of the content that's inappropriate. Those are really good articles. But for example, when they did the PC building video, I was completely shocked because it was also sponsored content by Capital One, which is kind of a big bank, I believe, in the States.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
thought,
that's right.
how can a big bank in the States want their name attached to a video in which they really poorly show you how to build a PC?
Spoiler alert, they're a bank. They don't know any better.
Yeah, probably. And what happened to get to the point is that a lot of people made reaction videos on this, and it was really
Mm.
fun. A lot of people poked fun, and there was this YouTube channel called Bitwit, which I follow. It's a really cool tech channel, and the guy has this kind of this act in which he pretends he's his twin Asian brother, and he really talks with the stereotypical Asian, and he makes fun of the Verge video, and the Verge didn't like it, and the Verge filed a copyright strike against this channel, and the YouTube community was kind of shocked by this because the Verge had also, for example, disabled comments and likes under the video. So in a way, it looked like they knew they were making a bad video, but they didn't want people to acknowledge that it was a bad video on top of the video.
But he wasn't the only one that got the copyright strike, and you're forgetting of one very essential point: is that these two videos got taken down months, like months after they aired.
Yeah.
Like months had passed. People had forgotten about it. I don't even know how they found out about it on the Verge, but they found out about it and had those two taken videos taken down, and it brought it back up because at that point, even I didn't know that that video existed of The Verge. I only found out about it when the copyright strikes occurred.
I saw the video once, and I thought, okay, this is just a really weird way of building PC. Also, because I kind of built a PC not too long ago, and when we were building the PC with that friend of mine, we were making jokes around ESD safety and a spudger, and we had tie rips, and he said, "Oh, don't forget to use the tweezers to wrap up the cables because that's how the Verge called it, tweezers." And also with the thermal paste, he said, "Yeah, you want to use an ice cream spoon to rub it out all over the CPU." I'm like, dude,
Oh
we can't keep
no,
making jokes on this because it's not gonna end well.
it's so
Um,
bad.
it's so bad. But that was also like an abuse of power situation, and these are issues that are becoming bigger and bigger, and creators are getting kind of, how to put it, they're getting fed up with this, and they're taking a stance, and people are looking for other ways to earn money besides YouTube and Twitch. And if there's one platform that will pop up out of nothing and offer the best of both worlds, I think a lot of creators will switch platforms because, better terms, better money, equal treatment. Because YouTube's also been going through this change that there's a lot of stuff happening, and there a lot of reactive responding instead of being proactive. But that's maybe a discussion for another time. But yeah,
Yeah,
this Twitch thing, this YouTube thing, and not holding everybody up to the same standards is becoming an issue.
but here's the thing: it's not like it. It's not the fact that it's not been an issue. It's been there the whole time. It's just more and more people are starting to take notice of it, and more people are actually responding to it in the way that you would normally think that people would respond to it.
Yeah. Oh
And it
well.
shouldn't. Well, it shouldn't take something like this to because I don't know. I don't even know how to like how I don't even know how they would approach a situation like this other than just going all full blanket on everybody and just enforcing with zero tolerance
Yeah,
basically.
they need to apply zero tolerance policy because you can't slap someone on the wrist and ban someone else.
Exactly.
Yeah, zero tolerance is the only way to go forward because you want to treat everybody equal.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we'll see how it unfolds, and if it really gets bigger, we'll probably talk about it again.
Yep. And speaking of getting big, I have an article that actually just developed over the past week, which involves a game that actually came out this week: Fire Emblem Three Heroes, sorry, Three Houses for the Nintendo Switch. And it's not about the game itself per se, but the voice actors that, a voice actor that plays the one version of the main characters. Um, who got into some really shady stuff, and basically he's getting recast. So it's about the voice actor Chris Noisy, which some of you guys may know as the voice actor slash animator of back in the day Kerbifer, who used to make like a bunch of Newground videos. He was like in that scene, he was very popular alongside people like Ego Raptor and stuff like that. But basically, there was a controversy around evolving around him where he was accused of abusing people, um, uh, physically and also mentally. Um, and then last week, he actually admitted it on his Tumblr. He apologized about how he mistreated his friends and colleagues and significant others, and physically and mentally, and stuff like that. And he apologized on it on his Tumblr, which, okay, like that is already like a big slant. You don't want to associate someone like that with your video game, right? I mean, it's the same thing that happened a couple of months ago with the game Judgment that came out on PlayStation 4, that where Sega had to actually pull the game from the Japanese store shelves because one of the voice actors got caught with cocaine possession, and he admitted to cocaine use. And in Japan, that's like a really big no-no. Like cane usage is like a big no-no. People will instantly cut ties with you.
You make it
And
sound like other countries condone the use of cocaine, and
no,
it's
but
only like in Japan in which they have like,
no, no, no,
oh no,
no,
no, we don't want you to use cocaine. It's okay in other countries as long as you don't do it in our country.
no, but like really think about it. Like for example, if something like that were to happen in the U.S., people would like the general public would either be super disgusted, but as long as they didn't cross any bridges, they might lose some sponsorships, and like that's it. This guy is going to jail for this stuff. Like you don't go to jail for cocaine use. You might get a slap on the wrist because you're a rich person and you can afford it, but you're not gonna go to jail. This dude is going to jail. So yeah, that for that game it was a big deal. Luckily, it didn't delay the Western release of Judgment. Um, but yes, stuff like this tends to happen, and he admits this on his Tumblr. This Chris Nyoesi. And then something else also came out. Apparently, he let out a bit too early that he was going to be one of the main characters of Fire Emblem Three Houses, even though Nintendo had not officially announced the voice actor lineup for the game on his Discord. And like he profusely mentioned it a lot during, I think, like an AMA on his Discord. Like, yeah, I'm gonna be a Byleth and Fire Emblem Tree Houses. So that also violated his NDA about talking about the project that he is working in while the was still not officially announced. So Nintendo this week announced that yeah, we are going to recast him from both Fire Emblem Three Houses and the characters also in the mobile game Fire Emblem Heroes. So in the mobile game, they first uncredited him in the game. So when you look at the character portrait, you normally see the voice actor's name accredited, but they pulled that away. And then I think today, um, they actually patched the game again, and now it has a new voice actor.
Wow.
So, barring anything, this new voice actor is gonna take over for Chris. Do I have the name of this character of this guy here? No, I don't have the name of this guy here right now. But yeah, the person that's taking over for him is, I'm assuming, in the recording booth right now, recording the lines again for Three Houses, and Nintendo's already confirmed that they're going to patch out the old lines with the new voice actor sometime in the future. So it could be a week, a month, a couple of weeks, who knows? But yeah, um, so remember, kids, don't break NDAs when you sign them because you will be kicked out so hard.
It's funny that you should mention that because I wanted to talk about a game that I recently played, and told you like, hey, I want to talk about a game today, but I signed an NDA to play the game, but I don't know if it's really an NDA that I should adhere to. Not that I want to like break an NDA, but because I was thinking like, okay, but it's not really that the publisher reached out to me. It's more like I got a key from a friend so I could try it out. I'm like, no, 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 we should stick to the NDA. You never know what happens.
Exactly.
So
We
I,
don't want to burn bridges here at
yeah,
Game Rivals.
so I have to keep my
We
mouth shut
we
about an
we we
awesome
don't have
experience.
any bridges yet, but we don't want to burn them preemptively. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's it for the controversy surrounding Fire Emblem Heroes.
God. Anyways, this might come as a surprise to some people because normally I'm always defending this company, but in this case, I'm kind of questioning this company, or well, not
Mhm.
questioning, but shedding a different light. I came across an article in which they were discussing crunch at a little studio called Naughty Dog. And for
Mhm.
some who might not know who Naughty Dog is, they made just a few small games such as the Uncharted franchise and The Last of Us,
And Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot, and Jack and Daxter. So their games are not that super popular, not super known. I mean, come on, who plays their games, right? But the article was around crunch, and crunch is not really an issue, a subject that has come often around Sony studios. And the article revolves around that Naughty Dog doesn't encourage crunch, or they don't say that crunch is there or that crunch is mandatory, but it is frowned upon that if your co-workers are working more hours or putting more hours in that you and you don't follow those hours, it is frowned upon. It might affect your performance review. It might affect your future within the company. And there are a few apparently people who have worked at Naughty Dog that have confirmed this. I don't know into what extent it is true, but that was a surprising article. It also said that, for example, and I read an article at a different development studio 2 weeks ago. I just can't remember the name of the studio, in which, for example, there's a huge difference in treatment if you're, for example, a developer, such as a programmer or an animator, or if you're
Mhm.
someone who is in QA testing, so quality assurance testing. And it basically, if you're a developer, you get all the benefits and the perks and the food and the amazing parties and whatnot. And if you're a QA tester, you kind of get the shitty treatment in which you can only grab food when the developers have food, meaning you just have to deal with the rest of the scraps and whatnot, and that you're not allowed to mingle with them or talk to them or party with them. The other article I read a while back really specifically went into this. The Naughty Dog article specifically only mentions that they can only, for example, grab food after developers have grabbed food, for example.
It kind of makes it sound like the QA testers are treated as second class citizens.
Yeah, because they have to make more overtime and they get the blame of everything. At least in the other article I read about this different other studio, I really just want to know what studio is. But it really painted a horrible picture of being a QA tester. You don't get to park in front of this of the of office. You have to park somewhere really far away. You don't get to have the same food. You don't get to mingle with people. You're not allowed to talk to developers. You have to work overtime. If there's an issue wrong with the game, you get the blame for it, and you have to work extra to fix the issues.
What?
Yeah, it's really strange because if a bug is, for example, occurring in the game, they blame QA. Just really these horrible finger
Isn't it
pointing issues.
isn't it QA's task to find the bugs?
Yeah, but if, for example, a bug is missed or appears later, then they point the finger at them like you didn't do your job properly. I'll try to look up the article around this
That
company if I
is
can find it and mention it in another
that
episode.
is so weird.
Yeah, but this is
Like
kind of a trend that's happening in the industry, that crunch is happening and workers are treated really bad. That's why unionization is such a big talking subject right now, and that a lot of people are trying to create a union. But I don't know if unionization will save these people, because we mentioned this in an earlier episode. Unionization doesn't always guarantee you that your workplace is going to be better. It's more around if the terms around the job are going to be better, but they could say A and do B if you get the job.
yeah, true. But well, first of all, this is the first time I hear about QA testers being treated like this at any company. I mean, I've heard that QA testers are always treated, lesser than the people working at at the development studio, mostly because most QA testers are, contract hires.
Yeah,
Um, they work at the studio for a couple of months, or heck, there are even some studios that hire a company that hires QA testers. So they're not even working from the country. They're working like via with said company. And yeah, it's just. But here's the funny thing, like blaming the QA testers for bugs that were missed is stupid because there are so many games that come out that even though if you can have like so many QA testers as much as possible, there will still be a random weird bug that nobody tried to look for because you have to basically, like spin around 3 times, say the alphabet backwards, and then hit select and start, and then suddenly something weird happens, like your face turns inside out of the game character. You
Yeah.
know, like okay, that's not an actual example, but you get what I mean, right? It's a really weird and rare occurrence. That is not something that with as much QA testing that you can do, people will figure it out. I mean, like just recently, Breath of the Wild, people actually found a way to glitch through the ground in a certain part of the world where you can actually see what's underneath the surface of the water, which by the way looks like really nice. I don't know why you're not allowed to dive in that game, but if you could, really pretty coral you could find there. But but to my point, why are QA testers like at all like beyond this revelation? Why are QA testers always being treated this way? Like if you're going to temporarily hire them, then make sure that they at least feel welcome and not just do grunt work, which is basically what they do.
Yeah.
And this whole, oh, we don't we don't encourage crunch, but we do also mind it when people go home early while other people are working late. So, standards. Things need to change, man. I mean, not just for Naughty Dog, not just for Bethesda, not just for Bioware, for like the whole industry. This stuff needs to change.
It's becoming a trend that it let me put it this way, and maybe because we're not skilled enough or don't understand the whole process around it, that it's easy for us to talk about it and how it turns out in reality. But the way I see it is, you would only have to use crunch if you're either running behind, or you have to make a sprint to meet, for example, a deadline or a release date. But to be
Okay,
able
yeah.
to get to that point, that means you don't have your planning in order, or you're somewhere around in the line of working towards the game coming out. There's a kink that occurs, and that means you have to resolve that. So if you pour planly, then that's the result is that you have to crunch. But it looks like that crunch is kind of included in the process of creating a game, knowing like, okay, there's going to be crunch because we know it's going to be crunch. We're already predicting it's going to be crunch, or it's normal to have crunch. Whereas you're not even there yet. So how can you kind of incorporate crunch in your development cycle if you're actually using it as a last resort instead of it being something completely normal and part of the development cycle? It's almost like, hey, if you're going to be a developer, the things you have to deal with is ambiguity, or maybe long hours. Oh, and crunch. It's absolutely normal. That's just part of becoming a game developer, because game development is around all the glory and the eternal honor. It's not around good pay or good benefits or good terms. It's just we're rock stars, and it's okay if we burn out and make 80, 90 hours weeks. Why not?
Mm, yeah, but that's a perception that is honestly not a perception any job should give at all. So I don't know. I think maybe it does start with that, with the perception of what the job is supposed to be, what it entails, and what it really is, instead of just over romanticizing it.
I think it's
It's
being over romanticized a lot.
yeah.
And then we're lucky to live in a country in which crunch is not generally possible because of laws protecting employees.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that's because we're lucky to live in this country. But if there are other countries that don't have these laws, well, good luck with that. Maybe that's the reason why Ubisoft has sometimes 12 studios working on a game at a time. To
Oh,
get.
and you don't think that they don't work on crunch?
Oh, they probably crunch as well, but it's kind of hard to imagine that if you have 12 studios working on a game, that you need to crunch, because we've gotten to the point in which.
Oh, I bet you they crunch like a crazy person.
But the funny thing is, we've gotten to the point in which games are made from small groups of 2 or 4 people to groups of thousands of people, and we still haven't found out the magic number or the magic way to make it work without crunch.
That's true.
I
I mean,
mean, come on.
it's like it's definitely something to look into. But it's something that industry definitely needs to look into as a whole. But at least if you work at a good company, they will do the right thing, and which is of course delay the flipping game so that people don't get all burnt out and stuff.
Yeah.
So
We'll just have to wait and see. I was kind of surprised to find this around Naughty Dog, is all.
yeah, it is really disappointing to find out though.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't expect it, because these guys are always super humble and super thankful of Sony when they receive an award. They're like, well, I thank Sony and everybody Sony. Like, hey, I wouldn't want my name to be associated with a studio that has poor working conditions.
Yeah, well, that's basic platitudes when it comes to award shows, but maybe that's the reason why we still haven't seen The Last of Us Part 2. Maybe this is something that happened. Maybe this is a cult. Maybe the culture is changing in Naughty Dog, and we're seeing the results of it with no actual date for The Last of Us Part 2. Maybe not. Who knows? We won't know until the game comes out, and even then, we won't know until maybe months or years after.
I think we're gonna get a release date for The Last of Us this year, and it's probably gonna come out early 2019. Because Neil Druckmann, one of the directors on the game, said that they're in the finishing stages of The Last of Us. So they've gone to the point in which they need to just finish the game instead of build the
Hmm.
game. So I believe, for example, all the voice acting and the performance capture is all done. So they just need
Oh,
to
that was.
ship the
I'm pretty
game.
sure that stuff like was done months ago, maybe
Yeah,
even a
they
year ago
posted
or
it
so.
on Twitter that no, it was this year that they posted it on Twitter saying, "Hey, we're in the final stretches of the game. We just need to finish this game, and then it
Hmm.
can come out." So I think early 2019, February, March, or
I mean, early 2020.
sorry, early 2020, uh, February, March. Then we're gonna be able to play this game finally.
Yeah. Well, we'll see until that time. But that's it for the news. That is the news for this episode. Stick around, guys, and we'll be right back with what we've been playing. And welcome back to Game Rifles in our next segment. What we've been playing. Sean Templar, what have you been playing, my good sir?
I have been playing a few games more than last time.
Ah,
I've
that's a start.
I've finished Detroit Become Human.
Nice.
Yeah, I really like that game.
How many percent?
I just finished it once, so I'm gonna go back and finish it a second time because I just want to
Okay.
see all the endings.
Mhm.
But what I love about the game is that the game is built around choice. So uh, based on the choices you make, of course, you get completely different branches. And then, as I discussed, at the end of each mission, you see a flow chart of where the game took you and what you missed. And in some cases, I saw that I really missed huge parts. And what I really liked is that I was talking about with a different colleague. He was playing the game as well, and we had completely different endings. We had completely different moments. It was like, "Oh, okay, what did you do then?" I was like, "Oh, I did this," and "What did you do?" Oh, like, "I did that," and "Oh, that's completely different than what I had," and that's really cool being able to share this experience, and that he has a completely different story and an experience and than I had. I told him, "Yeah, if you make this choice, and that happens, but that's probably different because you got this," and it's really cool. The only thing he mentioned, he said that the because the game is so focused on choice, that sometimes there are these plot holes that are just strange. And when I thought about it, I thought, yeah, you're actually right, because there are instances in which, if you think back, you're thinking about, okay, but that doesn't make sense, or why would they do that, or why would one of the in-game characters do this, because it just doesn't make sense based on the reactions they give.
Do you have some early game examples that you could give us?
I can. I'm afraid that I'm gonna spoil it for people who are gonna play the game. Are you ever gonna play the game?
Oh, I'm gonna. Yes, I'm because I have it on PlayStation Plus, so I'm eventually gonna play it.
Okay. Yeah.
But
Then I don't. I think I
my
don't.
focus is on one of the games that I'm gonna be talking about later on. So.
I don't want to spoil it for you then, but because it's something you find out in the end, towards the end of the game. But when you think about it, if there's something that happens in the beginning, you're thinking, okay, but this doesn't make sense. Why would the character do this? Because it doesn't add up. It's really vague. But if I can only explain it by spoiling it, and if you're gonna play it, I don't want to spoil it.
Fair.
Yeah, but just to say that, like, it's a really good game. I loved it, and I'll probably go back again and play it again. I don't know if I'll do it now. I just have to find the time for it.
How many endings does that game have?
I don't know the exact amount, but there was, for example, a part in which I was looking through a guide and I saw all sorts of different things happening. And I'm like, okay, that's good to know. I missed out on this whole part, which is really nice. Um, so yeah, that's cool. I remember, like, back in the day when I played Heavy Rain on PS3, I played it till I got a platinum. I don't know if I'm gonna platinum this game, but who knows? To be continued.
One more question: do they go full Blade Runner?
Which with in what do you mean with do they go full Blade Runner?
Where they come well, in the sense that you know how Blade Runner ends, right?
It's been a while since I've watched Blade Runner.
Okay, so all right. I know this is a very old movie, but spoiler alert for a very old movie. Basically, the good grief, what are they called again? In
Replicants, I
Blade Runner,
believe.
yeah, the replicants. Like this really small group of replicants develop emotions and they go rogue, and they try to take down the Tyrell Corporation. And this is why you should be careful when you're playing with AI people, because they can go complete bat crazy and go after their creators and kill them. At the end of the movie, they only one of them is left, and this like this drawn out um, battle between um, the, the Blade Runner, the one that takes them down, and the replicant leader. And well, the replicant leader ends up dying in quotes, but not because of the cop, but because of the because well they were dying essentially, and that was the main problem. They wanted to become more than just replicants. They wanted to become human to prevent themselves from dying, because their series of replicants were flawed. So
To answer
yeah,
the question, yeah, they do feel emotion. That's what causes them to become a deviant, and yeah, there's some kind of uprising.
but they
Um,
don't all die. At least not from your ending then.
no, but they could. Everybody can die.
Huh.
Yeah,
Good to know.
yeah, because yeah. There's a good ending. There's a bad ending. There's one character, for example, he died early on in my story, and when I was talking to this friend, he said, "Oh well, he died middle in the story." So there are multiple ways or parts that a character can die.
Hmm.
I
All
think there
right.
was even a trophy: make sure that everybody reaches the end, or make sure nobody survives till the end. Yeah.
Hmm.
So besides Detroit, I played. There was a patch for Battlefield 5 that came out this week, so it fixed a lot of those issues. So
Cool.
I played some Battlefield, and I was happy all over again. There's a
Was it working now, Chief?
I loved it. Oh man, it was so good. There were these moments in there's a map called Twisted Steel, and there's this huge bridge, and part of the bridge is blown out and sunken in, so you can climb onto the bridge. And then there's a part where you can fight on the bridge, and you can approach that point from two sides. And there was this point that I just climbed up to the bridge and I was sneaking along the sides, killing a lot of people. I killed 5 or 6 people after in a one life, and then eventually I saw a tank, and then I shot my Panzerfaust at the tank, and I blew it up, so I got the tank kill and people inside. And then I got killed, I got revived, and I saw another tank, and I did the same trick. I shot my Panzerfaust at it, but it wasn't enough. So I just said kamikaze mode, and I just screamed kamikaze, and I ran at the tank, threw some dynamite on the tank, and just before they were able to shoot me, I just blew the tank up with dynamite, killing myself in the process. But I didn't really care because I got the guy, and then I got revived again, and I just kept on killing people. If people that play
Nice.
with me know that I'm a kamikaze guy, I just sometimes just scream and shout. I'm like kamikaze, and I just run at a tank and I just blow it up. And generally, 9 out of 10 times, I blow that guy up. Yeah, it's really fun. So
Uh,
yeah, I played Battlefield, and they're gonna release a new map, the Marita map, next week. And then there's one map called El Sudan, which is actually supposed to be already live already, which is gonna come after that because it has a game-breaking bug.
mhm,
And then in the weeks to come, Dice will give us more. And in October, we'll get Operation Underground, which is a Operation Metro remake, which is a really great map from Battlefield 3.
mhm.
And then
Nice.
hopefully after that, we'll get the Pacific finally. And then I
Cool.
played Anno 1800. I don't know
Yeah,
if
you
you.
talked about it. Wait, didn't you talk about it the last time too?
No,
Oh no, wait, it was a hidden gem.
no,
It wasn't?
no.
Why do I feel the feeling that we talked about
I talked about saying that it was a game I got for free with my SSD, and I had to redeem the code, and I got the
that?
game.
That's why.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
finally got the code, and
Cool.
I played it. And this is my first time playing an Enno game. And funny as it sounds, but it's really similar to a game I used to play like 10 years ago on my old PC. It was called Master of Olympus. It was made by the same developers behind Caesar, and it was a publisher called Sierra, which doesn't exist anymore.
Rip Sierra.
Yeah, it's one of those city building games, kind of like Civilization, but really focused on on the city building. So you go to the Caribbean, and then you colonize an island, and then on the island you have to build a whole city, and then you have to lure villagers to your settlement, and then they have needs such as food or clothing or entertainment, and you build up that, and it's really fun. I didn't expect it to be that, but it's really fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I actually because I know the series and I thought it was a wayfaring game. So basically, because I thought it was more about um uh, you know sailing the old trade routes and building your economy and stuff like that. That's what I thought that was. But
From
the way
based
you're
off what I'm
describing it, it's
played,
like,
is it probably that economy building is probably in there and it's far more expansive than I'm telling right now. I only played like
hmm,
an hour of it. I played a multiplayer campaign with friends of mine, but I don't know how the game works. I know the mechanics because they really look familiar based on the other game I mentioned.
hmm.
So I still have to put some hours into it. But yeah, my time's completely divided between playing Total War, Three Kingdoms, and something else that's trying to take up my time, but I haven't found anything yet.
All right,
Yeah.
cool.
So I played that, and then I really want to start playing Formula One 2019 again. So I think I'm going to do that in the coming days. And
Start a new season.
I think so. There was a big update that came out last week that balanced the cars out more. So what happens when the game is in development? They grab the performance of the cars from a certain point, and then halfway through, when the game comes out, they balance the cars based on the real world performance. And there's some positive sounds coming from the community that in some cases cars are up to a second faster, which is a lot in
Oh,
Formula
okay.
One. The funny thing is that I'm seeing videos online on YouTube around if you play enough seasons of Formula One, the drivers also shift to different teams, but you
Hmm.
get the most strangest of combinations. Like the top tier drivers in the real world move to low spec teams, for example.
Huh?
Yeah, so it's super strange. And for example, cars that are midfield teams, midfield cars, are becoming the fastest cars in the game. It's really funny. I don't know if they're doing it on deliberate, on purpose, the developers. But for example, I saw a video in which Sebastian Vettel, which is one of the better drivers in Formula One, he just suddenly moves to Alfa Romeo, which is a midfield team.
Hmm.
Lewis Hamilton moves to another crazy team you would never expect him to go. For example, he would go to Red Bull, and then Max Verstappen would move to Mercedes, and Charles Leclerc would move to like a smaller. It's so strange. Like for example, Kevin Magnussen, which is a driver for Haas, which is also a midfield team. he would suddenly be driving for Ferrari. So these the most unpredictable combinations occur, something which would probably never happen in real life are happening in this game, and it makes it fun in a way, but it's also really strange in a way. Yeah.
So if they make the shift, do they perform better or worse?
In some cases, it's different because, for example, some cars perform a whole lot better, and some cars are maybe scaled back to reflect their real world performance. I kind of miss something which for example, EA, and I don't know if they still do it, but what EA used to do with FIFA was that if a match was played in real life, if a player would get injured, then your player would also get injured. So it would pull real
Uh,
life data, real world data. Formula One doesn't do that, but I think that if they were to do that, that would make things so much more awesome and realistic because they're just pulling if they would pull real world data out of the real races, that would make it a whole lot better, but who knows, maybe next year.
yeah, I mean, for a sim game, that makes sense for them to do that. Um, any sim game really, FIFA, Madden, whatever, Formula One.
Yeah,
Um, I've always said that EA should basically what they should do is release a base game at the start of every generation and just update it through patches and stuff.
and
Just
the expansion
so that
packs or
and
whatnot.
and maybe expansion packs, yes,
Yeah,
but not release a game every year. I know that there are some countries out there that don't have a good internet, or and that's not cool if they have to rely on an online patch. You can still have the yearly stuff for those regions.
yeah,
Just don't nickel and dime the people that have the capability to have live updates just because you can,
yeah,
you know? But yeah, that's just me.
yeah, I agree. I mean, it would be better if they made one Call of Duty game and patched the shit out of that game until it would be something completely different. It also frees up some more time to experiment on a game instead of having the same formula with just a different skin on it. I do hope that Modern Warfare is going to be awesome because I'm really looking forward to that one, but that's a different story.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. And yeah, the last thing I've been doing is still growing China larger,
Oh
but
no.
my campaign is coming to an end. I'm 60 hours in, and I've basically completed my campaign. But if I want, I can try to achieve total dominance, which I'm basically going to try to do. But I've finished my first campaign with 60 hours on the clock, and it was a really intense campaign. Some tears were shed with my enemies. I looked up my statistics, but under my command, 50,000 people died of my own army,
Ooh.
and I slaughtered 103,000 people in response.
Oh god. Why
So,
would you use that word?
because you want me to do this again? Because
No, no, no,
I
no.
want to
Please don't.
unify China, and I finally unified China. So, sometimes you just have to make a few sacrifices. The ends justify the means, and I'll leave it at that. But anyways, China has been unified. I've brought order and peace, so we can move on.
Okay. All right.
That's
Let's
it
move
for
on
me.
then. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, let's move on to something that you've been requesting for a long time, and a lot of people have been wondering. But as of this week, I've finally beaten the main campaign of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it was heavy.
I can imagine.
It was heavy. Honestly, I'm actually kind of glad that I've only finished it now for a couple of reasons. Um, but the main reason is I was able to absorb everything the game threw at me and not rush blah, 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 rush through. Wow,
Rush through
wow.
it.
Thank you.
No
Thanks.
problem.
Wow, I
You
don't know
almost
why I
sound
feel so good.
emotional when you're talking about this journey you had with Horizon Zero Dawn.
Easy, Chief. It was a good ride. I will say that it was a good ride, but I love that I was able to take the time and actually absorb it all because the game's story is a compelling one. Um, mild, very mild spoilers ahead. When you start the game, of course, you're in this post-apocalyptic world, as the little girl Aloy, and you find this little device called the Focus, which is a ancient device, which is of course highly advanced because it's from a bygone age that was more advanced than they are now because video games and media. Um, but yeah, just the whole journey that Aloy takes, the finding out where she comes from because she wasn't born the natural way. She just the mountain cried, as they say in the game, and well, there she was, a baby
That
called Aloy.
sounds
And they were
weird.
like, "Oh, this baby is cursed, so we make her an outcast."
He's an outcast.
Yeah, and this guy takes care of him. His name is Rost. Ah, it's Rost, man.
Is it?
That that is such a sad ending to that guy. Kind of reminds me of this past season of Stranger Things. If you haven't seen it already, if you have seen Stranger Things season 3 already, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, then go watch Stranger Things. But from that point on, it's just an emotional roller coaster of finding out where Aloy came from, where she belongs in this post apocalyptic world, what this post apocalyptic world even is, and how it came to be. And let me just say it, wow. Um, yeah, we kind of probably need to keep a very close eye on Elon Musk
Yeah,
because
that's kind of creepy.
yeah, they have a Elon Musk kind of equivalent guy in this game called Ted Faro. Light spoilers, by the way. Um, but basically, he's the guy that messes up the world and brings the human race to extinction, essentially. Um, and then you later find out that, well, if the human race is supposed to be extinct, how are there humans around? And you find out why there's humans around, and you also find out why the humans are the way they are, and you find out that there's just so many things that just any almost everything that could go wrong during such um a turmoil time of humanity went wrong. The only thing that essentially went right is the fact that the human genome was preserved and certain animals were preserved. It also explains the reason why you only find stuff like rabbits and boars and turkeys and raccoons and like some certain a certain amount of fish in the world
There are also goats in
because
the
everything.
game.
Hmm?
There are also goats in the game.
There. Oh yeah, you're right. There are also goats in the game, but you considering how big the world is, you would expect more animal types. You know, there are no cows.
Maybe that's the reason
There,
why we have these machine animals.
yeah, they take the place
And your
of the
favorite
other.
machine animals called the glint hawks.
Oh, I hate those things. Those things can go extinct and die and rust on a pile of heap. Ugh, glint
Wow,
hawks.
wow.
I'm sorry. There are certain kind of enemies in games that I hate really with a passion. Glint Hawks is one of them. Because whenever there's a mission with a Glint Hawk, it's annoying because those stupid little things fly all around shooting ice projectiles towards you, so you slow down. Then you have to use the anti-freezing potion so that you don't slow down, and they move around the whole time, so you have to constantly aim around. Ugh, those things, seriously. And they always come in a freaking pack. Why? Fly alone so I can just down you and be done with it. Ugh. I mean, I'd rather take on a Thunderjaw than take on a pack of Glinthawks. And if you've seen Thunderjaws and you've seen what they can do, yeah, yeah, those things are badasses, but they do not compare versus a pack of Glinthawks. Ugh. But all that said, the ending, yo, what an ending.
Yeah, right?
Just Ah, man, the whole the final chapter is just one protracted fight because you start off with the leader of the. Could you even? No, they call it a cult. So yeah, cult. The leader of the evil cult. You finally take him down, and then you have to get to like the final boss battle area. But first, you have to hold back up. You get a part that's kind of like a horde mode, and yeah, you do that. You get through it. You get to the final boss, and that boss, wow, yo, that's a really good boss battle. Kind of hectic, but a really good boss battle because you have to actually use everything that you've learned throughout the game to use to your advantage to take the boss down. And the ending is so good. And I don't want to spoil anything, but there is one last cutscene in that game that makes me go, "You son of a bee!
Yeah.
Oh, you! Oh, we're not done with you, are you? Oh, we're not done with you yet. So I'm
Here-
curious.
Here's hoping
I'm
they're working on Horizon Zero Dawn 2 for the new PlayStation.
Well, considering that they're working on Death Stranding, probably not.
Death
I would
Stranding is a
assume.
Kojima Productions game.
Yeah, but they are working with Guerrilla Games to get the game done. They're using their tech. The
Yeah,
Horizon Zero Dawn engine is the engine being used for the new
yeah,
game.
but I don't think Guerrilla is focusing their efforts on.
I mean, no, of course not. But considering how long Death Stranding took to make, I'm assuming that a whole big task force from Guerrilla Games worked on that game. So yeah. The other reason why I made sure that I finished Horizon Zero Dawn this week was because of a game that came out this Friday that we actually talked about in the first segment. Fire Emblem Three Houses, or as the internet likes to call it, Fire Emblem Harry Potter Edition.
It's the best
Because
Harry Potter game out there. That's what I read.
well, yes, especially after the mobile game that just came out, which is literally a copy paste of Pokemon Go, with just a lot more whistles and bells to it that honestly, in my opinion, are not as awesome.
Are we talking
Yeah,
about Harry
this
Potter or Fire Emblem?
uh, well, Harry Potter, but the mobile game, nobody cares. But yeah, Fire Emblem Three Houses. I bought it yesterday, and I've been playing it for about 10 hours now. And oh man, there's I don't even know where to begin. First of all, the presentation is just gorgeous. I mean, it has to be because this is the first time we're playing Fire Emblem on console since the Wii. So this is the first HD Fire Emblem, and it shows. The character models are realistically proportioned versus the chibi models that we had on the 3DS. Everything is voice acted, like every line is spoken. There is no part where it's just text and people mouthing with the text. Every line of dialogue is spoken, and the game comes in English and in Japanese voiceover. So take your pick, especially if you're one of those weebos out there like me who likes playing their Japanese game in Japanese. This game is very anime, especially when you turn it to the Japanese voiceover. The presentation is very anime, but the game's presentation has been very anime for a long time since the Game Boy Advance. I want to say no, actually, since its inception, like the game's aesthetics has always been a lot of a very anime inspired, but more inspired with the time that they make the game. So, for example, the first game really feels like a Fire Emblem game that was made in the 80s versus now Three Houses that feels like an anime game that was made in 2019. And it is very cool. If you've played a Persona game, you also have stuff where you can interact with your army. Well, your army, your students. I'm still at the early part, so they're still your students. After a while, there's going to be a 5 year jump where they actually all grow up, and your students become actual, warriors. And it's a whole thing. So I'm still in the early parts of the game, and just So many fun characters in there. The battle mechanic has been refined to a T, and it just feels more immersive because in the old games you couldn't really represent a whole army, so they didn't. But within this game, you can actually see the army when the game zooms in into the action.
Oh, that's
I'll
nice.
send you some clips. It looks really cool. It just the game is, and the music. Oh, I think I'm gonna call it now. Best soundtrack of 2019 in a video game. Fire Emblem Three Houses. I dare anyone to mention anything that is better. Yes, even Cadence of Hyrule, which has an amazing soundtrack and is a rhythm game of all things, this still has a better soundtrack.
I'm holding up my money for Death Stranding.
Uh, Honestly, I part of me, well, part of me wants you to actually experience Fire Emblem because I think of all the Fire Emblems that came out in the past 10 years, with the exception of Fire Emblem Echoes that came out on the 3DS, this is probably the next best Fire Emblem to get into because it's a clean start. It's a new region that has never been brought up in any of the other games. So the kingdoms are new, the characters are new. You don't have to worry about lore stuff or anything like that. And if you're not into the whole anime stuff, you can of course choose the English voiceovers. But it's like the game is so good. I've been playing it. A friend of mine, you know him, my best friend, Jay Witz. No, not Jay Witz. That's no
J
J
Prof.
Prof. Sorry, Jay Witz is a YouTuber. They have similar screen names, so I get them confused sometimes. But J Prof, yeah, he's been playing it as well. He bought it digitally. I bought it retail, and we've basically been going back and forth with our experience because he chose a different house than me.
Oh,
I
nice.
chose I chose the Black Eagles, which has a lot of magic users. I'm an RPG guy, so I love magic users. He bought. I mean, he chose the dang it, what's good? The Blue Lions, which basically to him has the least dopey looking characters. That's why he chose. But yeah, it's really cool because you can recruit students from other houses to yours. So if there are students that have abilities that you like and would want in your class, you can recruit them and actually have them join your ranks. So switch them over. You can even hire them for a campaign, and they'll just be there temporarily during the battles. So yeah, it's oh man, what else? Uh, well, I already talked about the presentation. The story, I will have to say this: the story is a little bit slow starting off because the real good stuff happens in part two of the game, which I haven't gotten to yet. J Prof is a bit closer to it than I am. But yeah, that is gonna be my next focus for the while. And considering that most reviews top one single campaign as somewhere between the 60 to 70 hours, and there are three campaigns, you can imagine how that's gonna go. Which is kind of awkward because I also started playing the DLC for Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh
So
God, are
you
you
know,
gonna drag this on for months as well before you finish that?
well, at least I finished the main game, so
Thank
that's
God.
the important part.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's kind of been it for me these past couple of weeks. I mean, I played some little games here and there, but I felt that one I owed you guys a report on Horizon Zero Dawn now that I finally finished it, and I just had to share the magic and love and awesomeness that is Fire Emblem Three Houses.
nice.
Cool. So, with that, we've come to the end of this segment. Stick around, and we're going to be talking about some sweet, sweet hidden gems.
Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the last segment, the hidden gems.
Gems.
Maybe we should make a jingle out of that.
or someone could make a jingle out of it for us.
If
I mean, I
there,
could try and make a jingle, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a musician.
same here. If there are any musicians listening and they want to offer us a jingle, that'd be so cool, and we will mention your name if that helps you.
We will definitely mention you on the podcast. If you have those kind of skills and would like to contribute to the podcast, please send us an inquiry to game rival feedback, game rivals feedback at gmail.com. Or drop me a line on Twitter at Maximilian.
I think the email address is easier than your Twitter handle. Anyways, what is your hidden
Yeah.
gem for this week?
Yeah, so this week I'm finally stepping off the written game tangent and actually talking about something else. A puzzle game, puzzle platformer. Um, yeah, let's go with puzzle platformer called Super Monkey Ball. Have you heard
Hey,
of it?
I know that one.
Yeah. So Super Monkey Ball is a game that came out on GameCube way back in the day. I think it was in I want to say 2002. I forgot to look up the year that it came out. But basically, it's a very unique game where you play as one of four monkeys. I forgot the girl's name, Mimi, Baby, and Goro or Gon. He's a gorilla, so puns. Um, but yeah, you're basically a monkey in a ball, hence the name Super Monkey Ball, where you have to collect a certain amount of bananas from the level and then pass through the goal. And the levels start out very simple. And here's the fun part: you don't control the monkey, you control the level. You use the analog stick to tilt the level so that the monkey and the ball rolls into the direction that you want. And you can't jump because again they're in a ball. So how on earth are you gonna jump while you're in a ball? If you've ever been in those, those big rubber ball things that people can be as suspended in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically kind of like that, but without the restraints. So when the monkeys go really fast, they are plastered on the like the inner wall of the inner wall of the ball,
That's
and you just
nice.
see them going super fast, and you suddenly start to think, isn't this animal abuse, and why hasn't PETA said anything about this yet? So, but yeah, it basically it starts off like any puzzle game. It starts you off easy and then gets progressively more and more difficult. I mean, there are levels where you have to tightrope the ever living crap out of the ball so that your monkey doesn't fall off, which is very sad because then they fall off, they scream to they scream to their dooms, and the announcer just goes out of bounds. It's like with this really upbeat voice, and it's super crazy. And the whole game is like super cheery. By the way, it is very vivid. The colors are very vivid. The presentation is very vivid, and it's all just fun and games. But it is monkeys and balls just rolling around at the speed of sound, which is appropriate since it's Sega that made the game. Not just that, if you've ever played the Yakuza games, if you've ever seen the guy that produces and directs those games, he looks like he could be of the Yakuza because he's like super tan and always wears sunglasses. And you wouldn't expect that that guy would be a game developer, but he is. That same guy directed Super Monkey Ball. So the
Wow.
guy who brought you Kiryu and a lot of ass kicking also gave us monkeys in balls.
Hey, I like Kiryu. What is his name? Kiryu Kazama?
Kiryu Kazuma. Yeah.
Kazuma, yeah. I played Yakuza Kiwami, and I'm looking forward to the second one. I still need to buy that one. But hey, go Yakuza team.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's a really fun game, and it's not just like the main game is reaching the end and just and in record time, of course. And man, seriously, I will say this: if you want to see game footage of this game, look up speedruns for this game because people are ridiculously like speedrunners of this game are so amazing. You'll just be like in awe of their skills. It's really fun to watch a speedrun of the games. But of course, it is not just that. It also has a bunch of mini games, and honestly, those are really entertaining because they had. I think the original game had four. I think four mini games. One was called Monkey Target, where you get shot off of a ramp, and then you open the ball. The ball basically becomes like this glider, and you have to land the monkey on a target, which gets difficult because again they're in a ball. When they land, the ball closes and it rolls a little bit, so there's momentum on when you land. Um, what else? So there's Monkey Target. There's Monkey Bowling, where exactly as the title says, you bowl with the monkeys. The monkeys are still in the ball, and you rev them up, and then you throw them to 10 pins to get a strike.
Okay.
And then there's one more, but I forgot what that even was. But then there's the last one, which is my personal favorite, which is Monkey Fight, where the balls have this extendo arm glove on it, and you have to punch your monkey. You have to punch the opponent's monkey out of the ring. And there are multiple power ups that you can get throughout the gameplay. One where it spins the glove around, so you basically become invincible, and one that stretches your glove even further. One that makes your glove super big so that you can give them one bop out of the ring, and it is a hoot. I mean, the series has been around for quite some time, and the fourth entry, which came out on the Wii, Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz, is getting an HD release on PC, PlayStation 4, and Nintendo Switch sometime later this year. So, if you can't get the GameCube version, which I still recommend getting because it is the only one that has the minigame Monkey Fight, you can also always pick up the HD re-release of Banana Blitz sometime later this year.
Okay. Sounds like a lot of fun.
It is like if you play the multiplayer is a lot of fun because all the mini games are multiplayer, and the single player is of course a nice challenge. So yeah, again, if you're looking forward to it and you want to see some really cool gameplay videos of it, look up speedruns. They're always amazing to watch.
It sounds like a real party game. I'm surprised that. Is there like a Switch variant of the game besides what you just mentioned, or something?
Besides the remake, not yet. As far as I can tell, as far as I as far as anyone can tell, this remake is probably just to gauge interest in the whole property because, well, after also not really sure why they're doing a HD release of this one, but after Banana Blitz came out, they came out with a bunch of other Monkey Ball games on mobile and on other platforms and on again on Wii and other platforms, PlayStation 3 and stuff. And they weren't that good, so people stopped playing them. So Sega lost interest for a really long time, and this is the first time they've shown any interest in the Monkey Ball IPs for I want to say at least 5 years. So maybe longer. Yeah, I want to say longer because I think the last real serious thing that they did was for a mobile version of the game, which I never played because I didn't own a smartphone back then. So you can imagine how long that one must have been. So yeah,
Okay,
that's my hidden gem.
nice. Uh, well, it's my turn now.
Hmm.
Um, my hidden gem is a game called A Way Out.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. Huh. Why is that?
because how to put this? EA pulled a surprising move with that game, which people will be surprised by. and also it's just a fun game to play. So for people that don't know, A Way Out is a game developed by the makers of Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, I believe is called. Let me just
But oh yeah, you're right. It is.
yeah. And some people might remember one of the game's directors called Joseph Fares, who
If
made
they
a
if they frequent the video game awards, then
yeah.
yes.
If you watch the Game Awards, this is a guy that dropped a lot of F bombs, said
Oof.
F the Oscars, this is where it all happens, this is the shit. Jeff Keighley was really caught off guard by his over enthusiastic rant, I think.
Hmm.
And it's really funny. You should look it up. Joseph Fares Game Awards. That guy just goes hammer, goes nuts, and that's super cool. But he's the director of the game, and what the game is about is that um, you play as two characters that are in prison, and they meet each other in prison. The friendship slash a brothership develops, and one of the characters is going to be a father, and another of the characters is like this really brute force grunt, and you want to get out of prison and hold your firstborn, which is not born yet at that time. um, and then you go on this crazy journey. The fun part about the whole game is that you have to play the game in co-op. There is no way to play the game in single player. The whole game is built around co-op. So you have to use the other player to progress in the level. Otherwise, you just can't play the game.
In couch or online.
Yeah, and here's the surprise move that EA pulled with everybody. There only one person has to buy the game, and the other person can play for free because there's this friends pass option. So all the only thing the other player has to do is download the demo,
Oh,
and then I can send you an invite through the friends pass, and then you can play the whole game for free with me. That's how
oh,
I played the game.
okay,
Yeah, and
nice.
that's a surprising move because I think in a million years no one would have expected EA to pull this move and be so generous, but they did.
I think the considering that it's a strictly two-player game, they had no other choice than to do it that way. It's either that or sell everybody like a bundle copy, which is kind of pointless. So
Yeah,
why go through the hassle and just make sure that everybody has at least a copy of it?
yeah, but I was surprised, and the game it doesn't last that super long. It's maybe like a 6 to 8 hour experience, but it's a really cool experience because it puts a humane face on criminals. I would say it because
Mm.
you're basically criminals, but it paints a really human story. That, for example, the grunt you play as, the characters are called Vincent and Leo, and Leo is the grunt, and Vincent is the guy that's going to be a father. And Leo helps him break out, and you find out that Leo also has a family, and he has a son, and you look them up as well. And um, there's a whole different side to, because the way you see Leo is this big bad masculine guy who just uses brute force to get out of every situation. And then when you meet his family, you have this shocking moment in which, like, hey, okay, this guy's actually also humane. His son really misses him. His wife struggles with that. He's in prison. They put a face on criminals. They say, like, hey, criminals are humans too. And it's cool because the game is structured around this co-op play, so you also have choices that you have to make. So sometimes you have to decide, or the other player has to decide in which direction you're going to go move, or what you're going to do. If you want to kill a certain enemy, or if you want to stun the enemy. There's this stupid mini game in the game, or it's not actually. It's part of the story where you have to catch fish to survive, and then one has to go into the water and then wave his arm so that he pushes the fish into a certain direction, and then the other can kill the fish with a makeshift spear out of a tree branch. But there's also this part in which, for example, you have to, when you're trying to break out, you do it in multiple days because you play a part and you encounter an obstacle, and either you can pass the obstacle, you need a tool to get past the obstacle, so you come back later with the tool to get past that obstacle. But for example, there's this part in which you have to climb up a wall, and the way you climb up the wall is You turn around, you push each other's backs against each other, and you try to use your legs to climb up the
Ah, yeah,
wall.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
there's a mini game mechanic there in which you have to move your legs in the right moment, because if you don't move it in the right pace, then
You fall down.
you fall down and you die. Yeah,
Oh,
so
wow, dang.
it's a really cool game that's focused around co-op. And the funny thing is, in the previous generation of consoles, co-op play was huge. Every game would have drop-in co-op, as they would call it. It was a
Yeah,
huge
drop in,
push.
drop out co-op.
Yeah, it was a huge push. And then at the end, it kind of started to fade away. And this generation, there aren't a lot of co-op games. And that's why this game is so cool, that there's just either couch co-op or online co-op. And there's there are also different endings. And the ending that I had, I kind of got mad at the ending. So the friend I was playing it with, in the beginning, I would just get mad at him and I would call him out and said, "Yeah, I knew this was gonna happen." And I would call him by his in-game name, as he was playing as Vincent, and I was Leo. I said, "You betrayed me, Vincent. You did this to me," and blah blah blah. And he was like, "No, no, I never intended to do that." I said, "Well, you're probably gonna betray me in real life as well. I'll just always be ready, waiting for you to backstab me." And he's like, "No, no, I didn't
Oh,
mean it to
you
do it
drama
like that."
queen, you.
It's fun. It's a really good game. I think it's around from the launch. It's been a game that's around $30. Maybe it's cheaper now. If you want to experience a really cool co-op game, play the game. It looks nice, it plays nice. It's a really fun experience to have.
Cool. Yeah, good to know.
Yeah, that's my hidden
I
gem.
because I do remember seeing the trailer back then, and honestly, I'm surprised that they actually invited the director back for last year's
Oh my
game,
god, that guy's so
video gamer.
crazy.
But at least he was more aware.
I think
Is I guess the best way to say. It.
they had to
But
constrain the guy a lot because
yeah,
there were moments where he was trying to kind of go all bananas again, and they were like, "No, no, no,
yeah,
no, we're not gonna do this time. Just
yeah.
calm down and stick to the script."
He's enthusiastic about his craft, which is nice to see.
He's a film director, and if you say "F the Oscars," I don't know what your chances will be of directing another movie.
I honestly don't think that he cares about that anymore.
Oh, probably not.
Yeah, but yeah, yeah, totally want to check it out now.
Maybe we can play it and do a video around it. People can see us scream at each other and play the game.
Yeah. Oh, that's actually a good one.
Yeah, I just came up with it.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else to add about A Way Out?
Now I'm gonna leave it at that. Just experience this for yourself. You won't regret it. And it's really easy, cheap to pick up. So yeah, it's a no-brainer. If you really want to play a game together with a friend, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whoever, your cat, your dog, whatever, just buy this game and play it.
Not sure how all the other unfs are going to be useful, but sure.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, true. Well, with that, we've reached the end of another Game Arrivals episode. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate you guys for listening to tuning into us every other week. Um, we'd like for you to share this love with other people that you know. You can always listen to us on any podcasting service, be it Apple Podcasts, be it Google Play Store, be it Spotify, Stitcher,
Overcast.
Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasting needs. We'll probably be there. You can also find us online on Twitter on at game underscore rivals underscore. You can find me on at Maximilian. Shout outs to uh, Beatmall, uh, at Beatmall1 on Twitter, who made our amazing um, podcast cover art, which you're seeing right now. Shout outs to him. He's amazing. Um, you can always send us your feedback at gamerivalsfeedback at gmail.com. You can also leave us a voice message by using the link in the description of this episode. You don't need an Anchor account to post anything. Just click on the link. You can leave us a voice message. And I want to give you guys a little bit of a challenge with this one. Um, Tell us one of your hidden gems through a voice message. And if we get enough, we might actually do a little featurette and have you guys also voice your one of your hidden gems. Try to keep it under 2 3 minutes so that we can feature more of you guys during an episode. And yeah, maybe we can start featuring you guys on our episodes as well.
That would be so cool.
Yeah. And look forward to any future stuff that we're going to be doing. Hopefully, starting this fall, we will have some cool things to announce. So keep an eye on all the social media things that I've already mentioned before. And yeah, from all of us at Game Rivals, once again, thank you so much for listening to us. Please share the love. Give us um, reviews on, of course, all the podcast services. That's the way we get noticed by other people that are looking for awesome game related podcasts. And I guess that's it. Anything else you want to share with the lovely people, Sean Templar?
I think you said everything I wanted to say. So I say what I'll always say. Thank you for listening, and tell at least one person about us so we can grow this beautiful audience into a bigger one.
Yeah, I hear that. So this has been Maximilian X
And SeanTemplar.
signing off. Have a good one.